We're going to get into symbolism and how I think that holds more truth than language itself. And by language, I mean all languages. I come from a somewhat religious background. I never practiced religion myself, despite having it sort of around me. My parents allowed me the freedom to do whatever I wanted in my life. I chose not to be religious because I lived in an area where just religion in general wasn't really promoted. I grew up in that environment. But as time has gone on, I started entering this realm of thinking, like, why am I not religious? Because I kind of do want to be, but every time I look into whether it's Islam, whether it's Christianity, it could be any religion, I can only get so far. And then eventually I just stop. Not that I lose interest, but I guess it's the rules and the regulations. It just doesn't speak to me. None of it does. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a criminal out here. I respect everyone and their beliefs. Do you? I guess this video is about why I am not religious and how I got to that point. And I guess I'm going to generalize that story rather than tell you every single detail that led me up to this, or rather just focus in on one specific reason as to why I'm not religious. A lot of that has to do with language and how I feel like language is unreliable and in a lot of ways can be easily manipulated. I deal with people in my life that have manipulated me and they're speaking the same language as I am. Imagine a language that you don't speak, how that can easily be manipulated. You wouldn't even know. When I look into ancient texts, who's to say and who reinterpreted these texts? We have names, we have historians that deal with all that stuff, but I don't know these people personally, and it's been a long time. It's really just that simple for me. What I look to is symbolism. And we're going to get into symbolism and how I think that holds more truth than language itself. And by language, I mean all languages. Symbolism is far more powerful than written language. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying that written language isn't effective, right? Like, we need it, it's necessary. We need it to communicate, to decipher, to translate. It plays its role. But I think it's the symbolism that outlasts, withstand time and the changes that come with time. When we look to all of these ancient architecture or even our currency, we see how long that has lasted. The symbolism remains. The symbolism always leads back to that one place. And from my experience, it's pretty much to the point. It just tells you what that is. Whereas language isn't as clear sometimes. You're going from one language to another. In Arabic, there are certain phrases that you can only do so much to translate those phrases into English, but there's always going to be a difference here and there. There's always going to be a slightly different way of expressing how one deals with pain. In English, we deal with the pain. In Arabic, it passes through us. But you get the gist. What I'm trying to say is the shapes, it's the depictions, it's the angles, it's what is shown, it's transparent. So time and time again, we have people who are in charge of the world and they tend to take these symbols and rebrand it as best as they can, right? They try to switch it up a bit so we don't get the picture. But those of us that are patient, that are willing to understand things, that are willing to allow ourselves to be confused, maybe sit and process our confusion, and then from there go down certain rabbit holes, we're able to return back to the original home of said symbol. Words can change, symbols can't. Maybe they're a bit rebranded here and there. You always go back to it. It's right there. I have a feeling that the ancients really understood this. I mean, look at the architecture that they created and the world that they've envisioned for themselves. Their connection to this planet was profound. It's not like the way we walk around in it today. They knew that through symbolism, people will find their way back home eventually. Words can't do that. This is one of my favorite symbols of all time. Pine cone right here. You can find this in ancient sites throughout Turkey and in Sumeria, present-day Iraq. It's a pine cone, but it symbolizes wisdom and the passing of wisdom. And I just find that so beautiful. And I look to these pine cones every day when I'm just walking, when I'm on the way to the coffee shop. It's right in front of our faces, and why a pine cone? Why all things nature, the power of nature?